You ready to do this, Stu?
I am ready. Punch it, Rudolph.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Stu Jones.
That's me.
We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 108. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on our website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available, and I mean everywhere. Stop by and relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Stu, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. But the everywhere podcasts are available. I want to hear from our super friends in Antarctica.
Well, our podcast's available.
And that's where we should have episode number 200 live.
Done. 200 live in Antarctica.
Hey, Metallica actually played a live show down in Antarctica.
I bet you Mr. Nodalpats probably could tell us the best spots down there. He is a world traveler, so he might know that.
He is a world traveler. And I know it's not quite Christmas episode yet, but man, I am in the mood.
Oh, yeah.
I am in the mood.
So tell me, what's got you in the Christmas mood right now?
Just the prepping for all the surprises and seeing what Santa brings for everybody, and some gifts that I sent up to Oregon arrived today, and it's just the whole inevitability of getting ready for it, and just I'm excited. I don't even have a tree up, man.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, just because Morgana's going to be with her mom on Christmas Eve and stuff. And Morgana actually, I was like, let's go put up the tree. She's like, it's a lot of work. I'm like, I am so with you. So, I mean, if the kid doesn't want to put up the tree, and she is definitely into Christmas. It's not like she's bah-humming anything. But just, I don't know, man. I feel good. And you know what? Last week, I was really in a bummer mood. And I don't know. I should always bring my A game, and I didn't, but... I feel good, and I like being here. So sorry for the slump early on in the episode last week, and it was just kind of black.
Well,
but it's been a good week, man.
Well, good.
I've done a lot of nerdy things this week.
Nice,
including finishing off Iron Fist season 2.
Okay,
which I want more of. Ironically,
yep.
I heard it was better. The first part of the season, I wasn't really convinced. It did start off slow, but man, that got good. And you know what? They had more. And I really am bummed out that show got canceled, because it ended leading up into something else, and blah.
Yep.
But then, so that led me into starting season 3 of Daredevil.
Oh, gosh, dang it.
And is that dark, brother.
I'm not caught up, man. I just finished Jessica Jones, and I'm now on Luke Cage season 2.
I mean, I'm not spoiling anything for it, but like the first season was about the city, and you had Wilson Fisk and Daredevil in it playing their crucial parts to that. But season 3 just really dives into those characters, and just so good so far. I'm like 3 episodes in, and I'm dying to watch the rest.
I'm excited.
So for the first time ever, Morgana got to watch a comic book movie before I did.
Really?
Her mom let me know Saturday when she was hanging out with her mom that they were going to go see Venom. Which first I'm like,
what?
My daughter is 7 years old. Are you sure about this?
Yeah.
And so she said, yeah, there were like $2 seats, and the moment that Morgana is like not enjoying herself, we're going to take off. It's just something they want to try. Well, she went. She loved it. And it came out on streaming today. So I was like, what the heck? And I've sort of committed to spending more direct time with Morgana. Like, we spend a lot of time together, but it's never like, hey, I'm going to spend so much time with you every day. Not as like let's just make sure it happens. It's to guarantee that she's got that commitment for me, that I'm going to be hanging out with her. So tonight we're like, you know what? Let's watch the first half of Venom, and then maybe we'll watch the second half, because I really wanted to know, whether it was going to bother her or whatnot. Ended up watching the whole thing tonight. It's definitely not... there was no reason for concern. There are a couple kind of rah parts, but it's not gory in any way. But it was just fun. It's kind of a ridiculous movie. If you take superhero movies seriously, you may not like it just for that reason. But it was fun. It was entertaining. We had a good time, and there were a couple parts that made us laugh. And but I was kind of surprised that she was willing to watch it in the first place. And then second, there was a couple swear words, but meh. It was not alarming in any way. And then we had patch 8.1 for World of Warcraft came out, so I figured I'd dive in and check that out a little bit. They improved some of the systems that were a little borked from the beginning of Battle for Azeroth. They kind of made more end-game purpose to the things in the game. No new content, though, so... but there are now assaults, which are like... did you get to World Quest unlocked?
Maybe a few small ones, but probably not.
Okay. Well, once you get to 120 and you do a couple quests, you unlock the World Quests all over the place. But this time around with 8.1, they introduced these assaults, which is... about once a day. There's one area of the map. There's 6 zones, as you know. There's like 3 Alliance zones, 3 Horde zones. One of those 6 zones has an assault that basically opens up a series of 5 world quests in that zone that are tied to PvP. And then you do at least 4 of those, and then you have like an end one, which is different for each of the zones. One is like you fly over and bomb everything, typical. One of them is a submarine mission, where you go and blow up Horde ships. But anyway, it definitely brings PvP into the whole world quest system, and it's actually really fun. I just wish there were like more than once a day. I got to play some Slay the Spire, which is one of my favorite games. It's kind of like the card deck building game. And then I tried out a new game called Factorio. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but basically it's like an engineering simulator where you kind of build some stuff. You go gather some resources. You build a little machine to burn off coal and do whatever. But it builds up into some really strong engineering concepts, and like you have to research realistic tech trees starting from automation through automobile. But it's in a very, very, very real engineering principle kind of setup, much more than you would say like the tech trees in Civilization or something. So I saw that game a long time ago, and I was like, that looks really cool, but I'm not an engineer, and it would be horrible, and I would never get past the tutorial, right? I had a friend who was online playing it, and I was inspired to, you know what, I'll look at it in the store, I'll just read a little bit more about it. And I don't know what it was about the one feature that made me suddenly think, hey, I had a fighting chance. But I read that you also, through all of this, you're also repelling aliens. So
sounds legit, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the thing that threw me over the edge, and I dove in, and oh my gosh, this game is brilliant. You just have to like build up your machines, and it gets into like steam power and locomotion and automating your factories and all this stuff starting from the ground up, and it's really, really fun. So yeah, I dove into movies and games, and I had a good old time, and then I went back to work today and blah.
Yep. Welcome back, Stu. Work. We've missed you.
It's going okay. I was kind of keeping tabs while I was on staycation and all that kind of stuff. But Morgana and I had a really good night tonight, and had a really good couple weeks staycation, and this last week was really good.
Cool.
So
cool.
So how are you, man?
overall great. Although today, man, I just been feeling like off my game. But let's go back a little bit. Last week, I finished Jessica Jones season 2, started Luke Cage season 2, and I think I'm on the second or third episode of that. It hasn't really grabbed me yet, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's a slow burn. Honestly, I didn't dislike it as much as Iron Fist season 1, but I would say Luke Cage season 2 is probably my second least favorite season. It's okay.
Yeah, the Luke Cage character, I like Mike Coulter that plays him, but just for some reason, like the show just hasn't really grabbed me. And to be perfectly honest, Jessica Jones, the first season, really hooked me because of David Tennant and his performance there. The second season I felt was good, but not as good as the first season.
Well, I found season 2 to be more consistent than season 1, because season 1 definitely had some low moments.
Sure.
But it being more consistent means it also didn't have any peaks in season 2 either.
Right. Although there was one episode in season 2 that I loved. But that's, like I said, because it was kind of a callback to season 1 in a way.
Yes.
Let's see. So did that. Charlie had his birthday. He turned 6. I took him out for breakfast on his birthday. We went to Cracker Barrel. He got pancakes and eggs and bacon, and it was nice to do breakfast with him and then take him to school. And then...
Nice. Well, happy birthday,
yeah,
Charlie.
Thanks. And then that evening we had family over and did an ice cream cake that he decided he wanted ice cream cake. And then he wanted to be a Pac-Man ice cream cake. So I baked another little round cake and cut out a little wedge, and then I covered it in a mirror glaze frosting that was yellow so it looked like Pac-Man, and put some like little candy dots on it. And
wait, you did this?
I did this. Yeah.
Wow.
That's my Martha moment. So did that, and then we took Charlie out to dinner on Saturday night as a family to celebrate, and he wanted to go to Red Robin. The problem is, like, the kids I feel like they only ever want to go to 2 restaurants, Cracker Barrel or Red Robin. And so I convinced them, hey, let's go to Texas Roadhouse. They've got barbecue meat like Daddy makes, and they've got yummy, yummy rolls. And so...
They do have yummy rolls.
Yeah,
crap.
And so Charlie bought in on the yummy, yummy rolls idea. And so we went there, and then he got to sit in the saddle, and they sang to him, or kind of yee-hawed at him, or whatever they do there. It was kind of loud. I don't know. But it was fun. He had a good time. He ate some ribs. He does enjoy a good rib. But it was a good weekend, but it is also one of those moments where I'm like, man, my kid's 6 now. Like, this isn't stopping, Stu. He's going to continue to get older.
Yeah. And suddenly you're a grandpa.
Right? So, yeah. And anyway, so that happened, and that was good. Let's see here. I made homemade caramels this weekend. Matter of fact, I was finishing rolling them up right before I got on the podcast, as we're going to be giving away as some Christmas gifts. So you may have a delivery sometime soon to your house of homemade caramels.
Boy.
Yeah, just, getting kind of like you, getting in the mood for Christmas. We've been singing Christmas music. We took the boys to a swim lesson tonight, and like as we're driving to the swim lesson, we're singing Christmas songs, and Charlie kept saying, Daddy, we need to roll down our windows so everyone can hear us singing Christmas songs. I'm like, yeah, buddy, I don't know about that, man. He's like, no, Daddy, they want to hear us. I'm like, I like your optimism.
There's a noise ordinance, son.
I'm sorry. That's too much merriment and joy. But it was kind of cute to see him. And I also did kind of feel like Clark Griswold from Christmas Vacation, where they're all singing in the car as they're driving. But yeah, anyway, getting ready for Christmas, man. Just everything's up. We got the tree, all the decorations. We're making the Christmas treats that we're giving away. We're getting ready to do our traditional Christmas Eve dinner, which is Swedish meatballs, and having the family over for that. So it's not traditional for most people, but it's a Swedish tradition, and my wife is part Swede. So I don't know which part. Maybe like
go.
an earlobe or something, but
Hey, I could do Swedish meatballs. I'll probably be doing Tyson Mighty TV dinner thing on Christmas Eve.
Well, man, don't do that. Come on over. Have some Swedish meatballs. We also have potatoes.
We'll see what's going on. I don't know. Christmas Eve is going to be a weird time.
I started playing God of War again. I decided that I really, really want to play Spider-Man on PS4. And I really don't want to play that and start that until I finish God of War, because I haven't finished a 2018 game this year. My gaming has been decreased. I've started and stopped some things, but I've never finished anything in 2018. So
this seems to be inspired by another podcast.
Maybe. I've
sounds really familiar. The whole God of War to Spider-Man tie.
Well, yeah. Well, the other thing is that like I really enjoyed my time in God of War earlier on, but I just found like playing it was difficult around the kids because it gets a little violent, and so I've been trying to put in more time this last week. My hope was to be done with it by Christmas time. Now I'm just shooting to hopefully be done with it before New Year's. So I'll have a little more time with the Christmas holiday. I'll have a little bit of time off. So I'm shooting for that. But let's be honest, I have no clue if that's going to happen.
Yeah, right now I'm resisting the urge to dive into Red Dead Redemption 2.
I have no desire to play that game.
I really, really do. Like really, really hard. But I've got so many games that are kind of in my queue right now that I'm trying to focus on that satisfaction of actually finishing the things that I want to play instead of getting distracted by the new
new hotness, the new shiny.
Yeah, but that's tough, man. Because the new hotness is also fun.
I got distracted by World of Warcraft for a while, and I just realized I unsubscribed the other day because I was like, I'm paying for this. I'm not even playing it. I'm like, let's stop paying, and then if I want to play again, I can just re-up it. And I looked, I hadn't played since September 23rd. I was like, Oof. Yep, I played for a solid month and then I stopped. So, yeah, it's about time to stop paying the old Blizzard company for a product I'm not using. But
yeah, that makes sense.
For me, I tell you so, Stu, I enjoy the game and I enjoy when I play it. But there's just not the social element anymore. I don't have enough people on there that I used to play with or play with enough like I used to that really like made me want to come and play. And so
right.
And I know I could change that. I know that's within my grasp and within my ability to say, "Oh, let me go find a guild and let me do this and try to whatever."
Yeah, but you got family, you got other stuff.
I got family and exercise and work, and my desire to do that and to invest that much more into it, it's just not there. So I pulled the plug. But
you're an old man, Charlie Brown.
Tell me about it. Anyway, that's kind of my week. For some reason though, today just has been kind of a down day. I don't know if it's because Christmas is coming up and I got a pretty full week at work, but I just didn't have any desire to do anything today. Like, I'm not going to lie, like nothing. I don't want to do anything personally. I don't want to do anything professionally. It's just one of those days where I was like, blah. I just want to sleep. I just want to catch up on some rest. I want to just veg. Of course, that's not what I'm doing, and I'm busy and, all over the place. Run right from work to get kids, to go to swim lessons, to come right home, to start, putting these caramels all together so we can get them all individually wrapped up, running right onto the podcast, and then right from the podcast, it'll be to sleep, to get back up, and do it all again.
Yeah, but you know what you get to do tonight? You get to kill some bothans.
I do. There is that.
You ready to kill some bothans?
I've been ready to kill bothans all dang day.
I will give you the honors tonight. Kill those bothans, Spencer.
Murder.
Pew, 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 pew.
I always have to let you know, many bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you bothans.
All right, Stu, we're into Rebel Intelligence. We have sufficiently slaughtered many, many bothans.
I didn't know you had it in you, man. You were like a cat.
You know, I just had to go all beast mode. That's all there was to it.
They had it coming. Speaking of beast mode, it's nerdy news. We talk about Amazon and Netflix and all that kind of stuff. And Amazon, of course, is more than just Amazon Prime, believe it or not. Really, no, I'm serious.
Wow.
It's more than Amazon Prime. Yep. But, Alexa, the assistant from Amazon.
Wait. Is that the one that if you say really loudly, Alexa, and then ask it a question, something will happen? That's the one?
Yes, especially if you're doing that when you're listening to someone else do that on a podcast.
So if I were to say, Alexa, play baby making music, something's going to happen. Let's get it on. Ooh. Okay, just curious.
Hopefully nobody's driving their truck.
Super friends, let me know what
us.
happened, because I know at least a few of you had just had something crazy happen.
Well, not only does it have, an effect on human interactions where you can, listen to whatever you want, order whatever you want. There is a parrot in the United Kingdom that has apparently fallen in love with their Amazon Echo.
Wow.
So, yeah. I mean, it's just a bird, right? But apparently this parrot was being taken care of, but it was like completely unruly and a complete jerk, which parrots are actually known to do quite often. So this person adopts the thing, and just while using the Amazon Echo, apparently the bird fell in love with it, and now the bird has taken to ordering treats and playing its favorite music. So the owner will let it come in to listen to some music, which apparently it's rather fond of rock. Though every once in a while they'd come home to find romantic music playing. Let's get it on.
Squawk, squawk, Alexa, play some parrot making music.
Yeah. Ooh. Doing the dance. But apparently it is taken to ordering a whole bunch of stuff like a kite, light bulbs. So basically what they do is they let it go during the day and sync up, and then they quickly cancel all the orders.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, how it's learning, how to substitute. Because, I mean, parrots don't really talk. They just mimic. So, inserting, replacements and I want to order this or I want to order that, I would expect it to always be the same thing, but apparently not. So, but, so if you have a parrot and you have a Google Home or an Amazon Alexa or something that has the capacity to order things, and you suddenly get things in the mail, you may want to look at your parrot.
So is that going to be the new excuse for people? No, honey, I swear, I didn't order that. The parrot did.
I used to work for DirecTV back when pay-per-view was a new thing.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah. Every day, that was probably half the calls. No, there's no way I could have possibly ordered that.
Yeah.
Do you have any teenage children in the house?
Yep.
Yeah, but I thought that was cute.
That's cool. I like that. So, Stu, last week we were kind of talking about the idea of the Marvel Netflix shows and cancellations. And then, of course, you and I are kind of working our way through some of what will be the last seasons for some of these characters on Netflix.
Well, supposedly. I mean, who knows what could happen with Jessica Jones and Punisher.
Yeah.
They haven't ended yet.
Yeah, we'll find out shortly. So here's something interesting, because I was asking about this last week. If there's some sort of deal, maybe if we could see these characters come back on the Disney streaming service, Disney Plus. Well, apparently I was not the only person thinking along the same lines, because Variety is reporting that the initial deal between Marvel and Netflix had a clause for the first 4 shows, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. What the clause did is they said that those characters are not allowed to appear in any non-Netflix show or movies for a full 2 years after the shows are canceled. So, in theory, they could have been shown in the Avengers, which we kind of talked about, right? The Russo brothers said they thought about bringing them into the Avengers Infinity War because they hadn't been canceled, so they could have shown them there. However, now that they've been canceled, we can't see Daredevil, Luke Cage, or Iron Fist until at least 2020. Jessica Jones has a season 3 coming out next year in 2019, so she would be 2021. Same probably thing with The Punisher. So, here's the question to you. Knowing that that's a clause, it says that they can't appear for 2 years. Do you think they take maybe a year hiatus and then they start filming again and start working on the next season? Because by the time they could release it and it would appear, they would be past the 2-year mark and it wouldn't feel like such a huge layoff?
I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth. I mean, I still kind of hold true to the idea that I think they're going to do something completely different with them. But I'm also wondering if this was simply to seize control of their intellectual properties to begin with. That not that they're planning to do anything with them, but just that it's, because of that contract, if they wanted to do something, that actually kind of supports that. Because if they decided, a year from now that they want to do something with Daredevil, if they continue it on and there's this 2-year clause in there, the longer Netflix has it, plus 2 years to anything Disney may want to do.
Yep.
So it may just even simply be securing the option in and of itself.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, maybe they would go back to Netflix. Maybe they wouldn't take it to the streaming. I doubt it, but they could. It could just be a way to gain back their IP.
Yeah. Either way, on
So,
Disney.
plus 2 years. Now, but here's the thing, though. I'm already committing to trying the Disney Plus streaming. If in 2 years, a year after the service launches, all of a sudden Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Daredevil could be happening with the same cast, with the same production quality, that would be a huge coup because those shows are popular.
They are, and I mean, to be clear, I'm definitely poo-pooing the whole thing. I'm really poo-pooing mostly the way they're handling the secrecy of it all. Like, I mean, it's business, and I get that. And if it does jump over to Disney, then so be it.
You're just saying be more transparent.
Yeah, I mean, this was just all really shady under the table, and they're like pretending that they're not going to cancel the other shows so far or whatever. Yeah.
Well, there may be some sort of clause that says they can't announce a cancellation before the show because then people aren't going to watch it and Netflix gets so much money. So there could be some of that too.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, there's a million reasons to be careful, but it really is not benefiting the consumer in any way.
Well, plus 2 years. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, by then, we'll be neck deep in Disney Plus stuff, and maybe without all the Marvel shows, maybe I don't even have a reason for Netflix anymore.
Frasier?
All the late night stand-up comedy?
Which I've started watching now, by the way.
Oh. Hey, I started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine again.
Ooh, that's a good show.
But kind of just as an aside while I'm gaming and stuff, and I can't watch a show and game and pay attention to both, so it's kind of background noise, and it's getting my attention here and there. But anyway, okay, that's all we had. Oh,
wow, that was quick. We killed so many Bothans just for that alone. Wow.
Hey, well, it was just to help you feel better, buddy.
Oh, I appreciate that.
No, so this last week I talked about I've been playing that game Slay the Spire. It's a game where you basically start as one of 3 character types, and you progress through this map fighting monsters or going to shops to get rare cards or relics, or building up, making your cards more powerful. And every time you kill a monster, you get a choice of a couple different random cards that you can add to your deck. So it's called a deck building game. It's that you build the deck through the playing of the game, where like Magic or whatever, you build it all beforehand and then play it out. You start with a basic set of cards, and by the end of it, you playing it twice, you'll have 2 completely different decks, kind of thing. It's a lot of fun. It's really quick, but it's been in Steam's early access, and it's been in Steam's early access for like a year and a half, 2 years now. And it should tell you something by itself that I've been playing this game for about 6, 7. Oh no! Wow, I did it when I first went to Portland since last February. That I've been playing an early access game because I hate early access with all the passion I can muster. I think it's a horrible system. But this game has been rock solid in early access since. It's finally going to be out of early access in January, being sold as a full production game. If you happen to like, electronic card games, whatever, the price is going to go up when it goes live by like $5. Not too big a deal. And it is going to be on sale with the inevitable Steam Winter Sale. But I've loved this game, and it's definitely worth mentioning because this game is hugely popular. And it just keeps getting better and better. They've been doing weekly releases. It's just crazy. It's refreshing to see a simple game get this much traction, but it's big.
Nice.
And it'll be fully released, though it's been playable for a really long time. It's definitely a rarity. Most early release games are definitely missing some things, or early access.
Right. Yeah, that tends to be the way nowadays. Get it out, try to get a player base, and then continue to roll out the full features later.
Yeah, but they put it through its paces, and they've taken a lot of player feedback. They've even taken some. There started to be some fan art stuff come up around the characters and the monsters in the game. And they've been posting that stuff in its weekly newsletter. Even a couple of them made it into the game. They've just really been a really great development company, and they've been very transparent and open with stuff. And it's been great to see them grow this game into its full potential.
Wow, cool. So Stu, we had a little chat a bit ago. A few minutes ago about Disney Plus potentially getting Netflix shows. Mm-hmm. One of the shows though we do know is coming to Disney Plus is The Mandalorian, the Star Wars series that's going to focus on a Mando after Return of the Jedi, right?
Star Wars Redemption 3.
Yeah, there you go. The full cast has finally been released because there's been a lot of rumors here and there, but we know Pedro Pascal is going to be the lead. Also going to be in this is going to be Gina Carano. She's an MMA fighter. Carl Weathers, who is Apollo Creed. Nick Nolte is going to be in this thing.
What?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like an Oscar-nominated actor. Also, Werner Herzog, the Oscar-nominated director, is going to be acting in this thing.
Huh.
Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Gus Fring on Breaking Bad. That's the only place I know him from.
I love that guy.
Uh-huh. Also, Supernatural's Emily Swallow and American Gods' Omid Abtahi. Or Abtahi. Probably that last one. Anyway, man, I'm just looking at this list, and of course we know Jon Favreau is producing the thing for Lucasfilm. So I'm just looking at this list, and it's there is a lot of heavy hitters here, a lot of really, really good actors and actresses. Just hearing this, it makes me more interested in seeing what this is going to be, because this doesn't look like it's going to be, some just kind of, throw it together, slap it together, make it, happen type of thing. It looks like they're really pulling in some good talent.
Well, despite the fact that it's a weekly serial, right? It's Star Wars.
Right.
It's Star Wars live action. There's no greater pop culture phenomenon known to man, and to even be a part of that, even if it's I guess it's not a weekly. I don't know how they're gonna. What if they're gonna do it all at once, or if they're gonna stagger the release. Either way, it's live action Star Wars stuff, even if it's not a movie. And there's that's the resume bullet of your dreams. That's the living your fantasy kind of thing, even for major actors. I mean, we've talked about it before. Who could really turn down a Star Wars role?
Yeah, they're bringing in a bunch of big directors as well. They're actually bringing in, for at least one episode that we're aware of, Taika Waititi, who directed Thor Ragnarok. He's going to do an episode. And basically, kind of the whole thing says, the synopsis of the super short synopsis. Blah, blah, blah. Let me try that again. The super short synopsis of the show is: after the stories of Jango and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. We follow the travails of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic.
Yeah, they could have shortened it up to "It's Star Wars Bounty Hunters, duh," and it would still...
Right? And that would probably be good enough, yeah.
Yeah.
So Disney Plus, I mean, this one show alone is probably going to make me sub Disney Plus amongst all the other stuff that's going to be there.
With as much as with as much as it has to cost to produce that, I'm sure that's exactly what they're counting on.
Yep. I think so.
And successful here too.
Yeah, right? All right, what else you got?
Well, you had mentioned that you were going to... We had briefly mentioned Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse last week, and you mentioned that you were going to go see that. Did that happen?
No, I just ran out of time. We really considered taking the boys, and I've been asking around if they thought like a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old would be okay to go. Most people say yes, but some people say there is some death to be aware of with some characters, so... depending on what you think your kids can handle.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think I don't know. Sometimes kids are young enough that isn't even a thing that's right. Going to blip their radar, right? But who knows? I definitely want to go take Morgana to see it. And actually, at the end of Venom, there's a during credits scene and then a post credits trailer for. It's not a trailer. It's actually a full scene from Into the Spider-Verse. I need to see this.
It looks great.
The animation style is ridiculous. I need to see it. Anyway, apparently a lot of other people have felt the same thing and have gone to see it. So, the opening Friday, 12.6 million. The whole launch, 42 million from 3,800 North American theaters. That's not too shabby for an animated movie.
No,
especially
not
this
at
time
all.
of year, right? It's a little bit before Christmas, so it's still not, the whole everyone's going to be packing into theaters and everything. So it definitely topped the box offices. As we know, it follows Brooklyn Spider-Man, of course. That there's basically many different Spider-Man that all kind of come together to battle Kingpin, I guess. And we've seen in the trailer that at least 3 of the different Spider-Men and Spider-Gwen all kind of come together. And I don't know much about the story. I never read the comics. But just like I said, the animation style is fantastic. The action through this looks great. It got a 97% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I did see that. That's pretty crazy.
That's ridiculous. That's like a game getting over 90 on Metacritic anymore. It just doesn't happen. So 97% Rotten Tomato score, A+ on Cinema Score. This movie is killing it, man.
Yeah, I want to go see it. I may go see it and then evaluate whether or not I think the boys could handle it.
Yeah, well, maybe you should do that. Yeah. Just for that reason.
Yeah. It looks good.
Not to see it for yourself.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I really do want to see it. It's just, it's that time of year right now where, man, everything's busy and kind of coming together. So maybe like on Christmas Day or after Christmas, something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I'm going to try to sneak it in somewhere as well. But yeah, next movie behind that was The Mule, which was Clint Eastwood's.
That's where he's like a drug runner or something.
Yeah, that netted 18 million for the weekend. And then a whole bunch of other stuff there behind that. Mortal Engines is not doing very well.
Does that surprise anyone?
No,
that thing from the previews looked like hot garbage.
I want to see it, but I'm easily entertained. So, Once Upon a Deadpool only pulling in 2.3 million.
That doesn't surprise me either, to be honest. I mean, it's the same movie. They just cleaned it up a little bit.
I'm not even sure if... I'm going to have it on DVD, for sure. Or maybe, on my stream service. But I don't need to see it in a theater.
Right. Although you could use your AMC Stubbs A-list, whatever.
I could, but the time it would take... I don't know if it's worth. I've already seen Deadpool 2-3 times in theaters.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do want. I'd probably go just to see the Fred Savage intro stuff, but I hear it's actually kind of intertwined throughout the movie. So, otherwise, I'd just go see the first 15 minutes of it and then leave.
Right. Well, last thing I've got, and we kind of talked a little bit about this last week with the old Avengers trailer that released, and NASA tweeted, to Marvel Studios. We kind of talked about that, saying like, hey,
right.
you can always, contact, Houston and, contact Mission Control, which I thought was really kind of fun and kind of, it was, kind of a little tongue in cheek. Well, then apparently Robert Downey Jr. responded back and basically said, always good to know that NASA has your back.
Yeah.
And so this is one of those things where, like, it's small, it's quick, whatever. Like, I see this stuff, but, like, I do enjoy seeing sometimes actors or big stars interacting in fun or silly ways that, maybe those two never would have really got together for any other reason. And then just something kind of happens and you get magic. Like I've seen Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, because, Ryan Reynolds is, always kind of pushing for a whole Deadpool Wolverine movie to happen. And so, like, he tweets at Hugh Jackman to try to get Hugh Jackman to commit to it, stuff like that. I do enjoy seeing stuff like this every now and again.
Yeah.
So, glad to know NASA's got Tony Stark's back.
Yeah, well, if I'm ever launched into space, I feel pretty secure that there's hope. I'm doomed. I'd be doomed.
Well, that's the last thing I had. Did you have anything else?
I didn't. No, that's it.
Well, last week, Stu, we asked our Super Friends a question. We'd talked about the Avengers trailer, and we asked what they thought of that and, some of their reactions. And let's go to some of those answers. What do you say?
Oh, that's, we may as well. We invited them. Let's have the
right?
party.
Going over to email, which you can reach us every week at fordofnerd@gmail.com. Dear nerds, good call on naming your elf on the shelf Dobby. Now you have a built-in defense against buying the upsell outfits. If you ever get tired of it, just buy an elf tuxedo, say he's free, and throw him in the trash. Yeah, I love that. Very, very smart. He says, I keep telling myself I would stay away from Avengers Endgame promotion, but that failed miserably. I've watched the trailer 3 to 4 times, and I'm excited. I have managed not to watch the endless stream of leaks and fan theory videos that YouTube sprays at me. Also,
sprays is accurate.
He says, also the episode ended abruptly just when you started talking about Endgame, and I thought you guys got snapped or were cliffhanged, Super Friends. I re-downloaded it and got to hear the end and breathed a sigh of relief. We are still here, Peter. We are still here. He says, I really hope that Scott Lang's friend Lewis wasn't snapped, and that there's one of his narration scenes explaining Scott's return. That would be cool if he was in the room telling Cap what happened. that would be funny.
Then there was this fan chase, and I was right there driving.
Yeah. And then he went through this like totally cool time vortex, and he was like, whoa, time vortex. Anyway, he says, Chris Evans said he was done with Captain America a few years ago, but I think he got a taste of what being an independent movie star without MCU backing, and he's realized there's more career left behind the shield. Cheers, Peter Christensen.
I don't know. I think a couple years ago it was like the end is in sight and we see the path and we know how we're going to get there. But now it's that it
so
actually
hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Ooh. Boys to Men? No? Okay.
Can I finish? I think now that it's time to actually say goodbye, that it's a lot more difficult to walk away from a character like that, because it has to have taken on a life of its own for him.
Sure.
And maybe it is entirely professionally related, but I can't imagine. I mean, this, like, even just me right now, I'm getting ready to end a year-long project, and it feels really strange. I'm going to be glad to be done with it for certain reasons, but it still feels really weird, and like a part of my career will have ended at the end of this. And this was just a project, not, a couple of years filming a movie.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe. Either way.
Like I said, it's hard to say goodbye. He just may struggle, and that's okay. That's okay.
The world may never know. I'd like to think that he personally, as a human, has a lot of captain's ethics, and that's my flaw in and of itself in the thinking.
Right. I hear you. Going over to Twitter, which you can reach us at Fort of Nerd. We got Burn at Excelsior. It says, "It is exactly what I wanted it to be. Dramatic and sad, takes a broken team, darker than usual, and nothing on the actual plot. We don't need plot points in the trailer."
Not this one.
Nope, I'm with you. The Dragon's Lair at Turpin Rich says, "I think this might be when Tony dies. The hint of Ant-Man at the end and that he's out of the quantum zone may mean that's how they go back in time and fix the Thanos incident. I'm stoked."
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Rich. Nerdish at dspin67 says, "Makes me sad for Tony. Is Tony going to make it? I don't know. But they're definitely playing on the fact that they want you to think Tony's not going to make it.
Could you imagine early first act
Tony's dead?
Tony's funeral?
Yeah. Yeah.
With only about half as many people showing up to attend as you would expect.
Just rip the heart out of everyone. Ugh. That actually would be kind of cool, just because they could emotionally devastate the audience to then, whatever's going to happen through the rest of the film. I mean, they could go so many different ways with this.
I'm telling you, Marvel needs to have a promotion with Kleenex to you can, buying a jumbo popcorn, you get a small package of Avengers Kleenex tissues.
I'm hearing you. We have Stu a voicemail, which you can reach us always at 801-477-7687. Leave us a voicemail, Super Friends. Let's give that a listen. Who do you think that's from? If you're taking a guess, wild guess.
Spider-Man.
Ooh, Spider-Man. Let's see what Spider-Man has to say.
Good morning, soldiers of Nerditude. Stu, Spencer. Hope this week has been going good for you guys. Calling in for my thoughts on the Avengers Endgame trailers. I thought it hit the point. It got me all sad, and at the end, got me all happy. So, here are some of my thoughts on the trailer. I feel like Nebula and Tony are on the Guardian ship, and they're on their way to wherever. And I feel like they'll get rescued by Valkyrie and Korg. That would be super awesome. As for the Thanos being a farmer thing, I thought that was really sweet, throwing it back to the comics like that. And I feel like the tears from Captain America were for Stan Lee, possibly. And the Scott Lang stinger at the end of the trailer, stinger, was super awesome. And the memes that came out of that are hilarious, especially the one with Captain Marvel standing there and then Scott Lang standing there. And it's all like, who you think was going to save the Avengers? Who was actually going to save the Avengers? Anyway, guys. Little kids are getting crazy. I gotta go clean up after them. You guys have a great day. Elf time.
So, that was not Spider-Man.
Oh.
No, that was not Spider-Man. I was a little disappointed. I thought it was Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's a super friend.
No, it was a super friend, which is cool. It was Paul Calicote. It sounded like Paul Calicote dropped his phone and during the beginning part of that, and it never stopped dropping. It was, sorry, Paul. It was a little hard to hear you. And then it sounded like you had a dog fighting ring going on in the background or something. There was some like chihuahuas or something. I don't know what that was.
I'm still not convinced it wasn't Spider-Man.
Maybe Spider-Man's calling in, pretending to be Paul Calicote, trying to throw us off.
Maybe Paul Calicote is Spider-Man.
Ooh, look out. Paul,
Here comes the
Peter,
Spider-Man.
Peter, Paul,
and Mary.
And this. I haven't really looked at a lot of the memes that are going around that Paul was talking about. I'm also trying to kind of stick clear of a little bit of it now because, we kind of talked about, hey, let's try to steer clear of stuff and
and we have a bet.
Stuff.
So
yeah. What was on the line again?
Your soul.
Dang it.
I don't remember.
Okay, good.
It was pork chop pizza versus I don't remember what I was. Now I'm gonna have to listen to the last episode again.
Yep. Time to go back. I did like
the post modified.
Right. I did like what he said though about he's saying like, Nebula and Tony maybe being saved by Korg and Valkyrie. That would be kind of fun. I could see that. Super Friends, thank you so much for your answers. We love interacting with you. You can reach us at all the places you reached us this week, as well as Facebook. We're on Facebook, which is facebook.com/ForwardOfNerd. Let's see here. Stu, our Super Friends are doing kind of a great job for us lately. They've been out there talking us up and, getting people to listen. How can they help us this week?
Well, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think really what they can do is they can also tweet Marvel with their recommendations on how to save Tony Stark, and also just make sure to include NASA and hashtag NASA in that so that NASA gets some visibility into the podcast and knows that we have something to contribute as the podcast and Super Friends.
Hashtag FON takes over Marvel.
And NASA.
Hashtag FON takes over NASA and Marvel. That's totally a legit hashtag, right? That's
right.
Easy to remember, yeah.
Now, just as a backup plan, in case that doesn't really get anywhere, I mean, I know it will, but if it doesn't, we could certainly use some more reviews on iTunes, some 5-star ratings to get our name out there, and some visibility on those good old iTunes lists so that people know that we exist and they can check us out. And then, hey, talk to your friends, talk to your buddies, let them know we're there. We discuss the things, we talk about the things you love.
If every single one of our Super Friends got 3 of their Super Friends to listen to the show.
There aren't that many people on the earth.
And then those 3 Super Friends got 3 more Super Friends. Pretty soon, we'd have a pyramid scheme with the Fortress of Nerditude at the very top.
And they only need to give you $1. Each of those friends gave you $1 a piece. I mean, just think about how that would all just trickle up to you.
Right? I mean,
can we get in trouble for this now?
The podcast is free, so I mean, that's I don't know how that works. I'm not a math guy. You Super Friends, you figure out the maths. I'll just do the podcast part.
Yeah.
Each
of them gives you $5. You give one of those dollars to us. That's how that works.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Moving on.
How does that work?
So there was one thing I forgot. In all the things that I was watching last week and playing last week, I fulfilled my promise of watching The Martian, not just once, but twice.
Ooh, I fulfilled my promise and I watched The Martian, but only once. I was half the man you were.
I get that a lot from people. So let's talk about The Martian.
Crickets. Let's talk about The Martian. So we watched this movie because purely through some conversations we'd had a week or two prior, we couldn't get the movie off of our brain. Is that fair to say?
We rolled our own little hype snowball, and even even at getting a recommendation that we asked for that ended up being for Apollo 13, we had to watch The Martian. It was it was a need. It was not a want, desire, nice idea. It was a need. Had to watch that movie again.
Yep. So let me ask you a question. This is a movie that's based off a book. Have you read the book?
Nope.
Me neither. I know it's by Andy Weir, and I know the book came out in 2011, which kind of shocked me, like watching the movie back, because I remember this movie came out in like towards the late part of 2015, maybe like September, October 2015, somewhere in that region. So the book had only been out for about 4 years by the time the movie came out, which means in reality, the book came out and probably was picked up an option for a movie probably within its first year, with the time then to, get a director and producers and, hire actors and then actually shoot principal photography and then do all the editing in post-production. Like that, making a movie takes 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I'm not so surprised though. I mean, if this were 20 years ago, yeah, that would be profound and astounding, but we live in the age of instant information. So all it takes is, a couple people talking about it and kind of gets to somebody that's in a position to, suggest the movie, or even I'm sure some of them actually read themselves. And, it does well on the New York Times bestseller list or whatever place someone's paying attention to. Information travels so fast now that if it's of quality, yeah, I would say near instantly it could get the right attention in the right place, right time, which this obviously did.
Yep. Yeah, and the cool thing about this movie is, like, obviously we love it, but, like, it was a very, very well-received movie when it came out in 2015. It was up for tons of awards. It received accolades for Best Picture at the Golden Globes for musical comedy. It had 7 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay. Damon won a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a musical picture, music or comedy.
So wait a minute. Music or comedy?
Yeah, motion picture, musical or comedy. Which, this is what we were talking about the last week a little bit, with the Globes. Maybe because it's humorous in parts, it qualified as a comedy in the Golden Globes.
You should have come up with this argument last week.
I know. There was a lot of humor though, like watching the movie back.
There was, but it wasn't a comedy. Like it was dramatic with comedy there because it's life situation kind of thing, and life doesn't exist without comedy. I wouldn't say it is a comedy though. That's a very different thing. But
the Golden Globes qualified it as a comedy, so that's their business.
Yeah.
Hollywood Foreign Press, man. What am I gonna say? I'm gonna disagree with them? They gave it an award. I like the movie. Let's call it good. So here's something like completely random comedy moment. There is a lot of comedic bits, we'll say, little comedic bits throughout the movie. My favorite bit, super, super understated on this one little note, this one beat. So when they have the meeting where they're going to discuss the option of shooting, the spaceship around Earth and sending it back to Mars, and they call that meeting the Elrond meeting.
Oh, yes.
And the lady's like, why? She's like, why the Elrond meeting? It's like, because the super secret council where they discuss the One Ring. And then she's like, I hate you. I hate all of you. And then freaking Jeff Daniels says, he's like, listen, if we're having his secret names, he's like, I'm Glorfindel. I loved that. I love that little side, that just like that little beat moment, because it was
we're gonna have a secret Elrond meeting. I'm Glorfindel.
Because you only would know that if you've read the books. That would only make sense to you if you've read the books. And I love the fact that they threw that in there, and it wasn't just a hey.
Well, and it's the super uptight guy being right in the middle of that, knowing that he's got the authority to call the shot on the super secret Elrond meeting.
Right. So I love that. And of course, I also love the irony that Sean Bean is in there trying to explain what it is also, because Sean Bean was in the film representation of the Council of Elrond.
Yeah, that was...
Love that. Just love it.
Yep.
So
hey, and this was a movie that Sean Bean didn't die.
I know. They do exist, right?
It's like 3 of them, maybe?
Not many. So... going back and watching The Martian, you watched it twice. I watched it once this week. What stands out to you the most about this movie?
Man, that space is brutal.
Oh yeah.
That it's that, you know, here on Earth we've developed technology to solve problems. We live in a relatively secure state of being because we have near perfect control of our environments in any given situation. Now, the further away you go from your home, the less that's true. But I mean, we, on a daily basis, we put our trust into 1 to 2 ton vehicles that at any moment could just have any one thing go wrong and go careening off the freeway and, you know, tons of people died, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't happen all too often. Now, it does happen under occasion, but take the same kind of level of risk in space, that one little tiny thing that can go wrong, you have to expect that's going to go wrong and already have the plan to deal with it.
Yep.
And I mean, I think that's part of the big appeal for space movies is, you know, I guess that the era of space exploration that we talked about, that we kind of zeroed in for favorite movies and what we were talking about, not science fiction kind of thing, is that when we explore this era of space, it's from the idea that space is brutal and that it's really a series of things that go wrong, and it's the triumph of those events most of the time that's really the narration of what we're excited about. And this movie delivers that in spades.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that stood out for me is kind of going along, kind of with, you know, what you're talking about, is that in space, when things do go wrong, you just work to solve the problem. You work to solve a little problem and then, you know, work to solve the next little problem. And eventually, if you keep at it long enough, you're going to figure out how to solve the big problems. And I think that that's something that, as a society, we don't look at so much anymore. I see so many people just look at something and they go, something's wrong. I don't know what to do. Let me throw my hands in the air and get someone to come help me. And I see that a lot in my field of work in IT. It's, I didn't do this. And it's like, well, did you simply try, you know, closing out your Outlook client and then reopening it and see if it was just a one-time weird thing? Instead, I end up, you know, chasing a rabbit. Which happened to me over the last few days. The guy says he had a huge problem, wasn't getting emails from one person, was getting them on his phone, but not on his Outlook client. Yeah, it turned out they were sent to his private personal email and not the work one. And we spent way too much time trying to figure out where this email was and what was going on. Anyway, so I like watching in the movie like this and the space stuff, because you see people that work a problem and continue to work it and work it and work it and work it and work it until they find a resolution, or they find that there's just no way to overcome an obstacle.
Yeah. And
I like that.
Yeah, I also like the overall confession, it's been long enough since I had seen it before. I forgot actually that everyone else made it off the planet originally, except for him.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, I was under the idea that he was the lone survivor kind of thing, which obviously not true. Everyone else makes it off at the beginning of the movie. He's, you know, obviously left behind because of the panel knocks him back, and he's saved by the pin in his chest.
Right.
Which, I mean, that movie, it gets you right away with these back-to-back incidents of him getting slammed, and then I think the more human element that draws you in and helps you identify with this character is that he's got to deal with that wound.
Yep.
And like just the pain and the idea of stapling your own wound shut, pulling out your own, shrapnel, and like he has this little quick moment where he finally gets this little piece of metal out of his stomach, quickly matches it up to what he had already broken off, just the thoughtfulness of doing that, but it's done so quickly that it's like, oh my God, this is over. Now I can actually stop and feel the pain that I'm going through.
Right. Brita watched the movie with me, and as we were watching it, she looked at me, she's like, don't you think that would hurt so bad you wouldn't be able to do that? And I said, put yourself in his shoes for a minute. You've been impaled with a piece of metal. You're in outer space. If you do not take care of this thing, you've been left behind. If you do not take care of this, you're going to die. That's all there is to it. You cannot have that thing in you. Whether it kills you quickly or kills you slowly, if you don't address this, you will die.
Well, and there's something to be said there. Even though he's a civilian, he's gone through military astronaut training. And in the military, they have what's called confidence training, where that's the things where you put on the gas mask for the first time or where you fire the guns for the first time, that starts to establish this pattern. It really should better be called autopilot training. That thing that puts the ideas in your head that when you're in a life-threatening situation, you can turn yourself off, go through the motions of whatever it is that you've had the training for, to carry you through that moment, because you can't really think about something in the moment. You can't feel that pain. You can't deal with people shooting guns at you. You have to turn a part of yourself off until that's done. And I mean, I kind of saw that. I mean, no, he's probably not specifically prepared for stapling himself shut, but how to treat a wound and how to deal with the tools that he's got. That's what's going on there. That's what he's doing. Then when it's done, and if he had 2 wounds, not sure he could have done the second wound, because once you feel that human element kick back in again, I would imagine that Brito would be absolutely right that he couldn't do anything like that because of all the pain. But that really kind of drew me in, though. That was the moment that drew me in to say that this is a real guy. This is a real crappy situation, and he's going to suffer.
Yeah. Yep. What I really love about that moment, though, for me, is that you see all of this and you see him struggling to kind of figure it out. You can tell he's on, like you said, on autopilot. He's just kind of doing what he needs to do. But then as soon as he's kind of done with that, he kind of has that moment where he just kind of relaxes. And then the next thing he does is he goes right to his like little video journal to say like, hey, I'm still here. I'm bleeding, I've been impaled, I got to deal with that. Look, blood, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, now what do I have to do next to figure out what I have to do? And I just love that it's human, right? It's okay. Let's just take inventory. Let's take stock. It's a very scientific approach to this is where I'm at. What do I have to do in order to survive? And I think that if that had been played any other way, it would have felt wrong. I think the tone of I'm a scientist, I have to figure this out. Let's just keep moving forward. I can't stop. I can't look back. I just have to move forward, I think was the absolute perfect tone for this film, because that is exactly what happens the whole movie. You are set on a course and it's just going to keep going forward and forward. There's no time to reflect back. There's, it's just, we got to keep moving. We got to keep moving. And I love that.
And that very principle and idea is reinforced in the very, very, very last scene where he's actually training the new astronauts.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're definitely reinforced with the whole science idea, because as he quickly realizes his biggest and most profound problem is going to be running out of food. And then we get to the details of him being a botanist. Now, it's mentioned earlier in the scene where they're all like doing their little sample collecting kind of thing, but it sets a tone for, that botany has a place in this story, and that's really going to be his particular skill set that's going to uncover this. And hopefully, we're going to see what does actually transpire and unfold. But I love that it's such a humble career, but that it's the most profound part of the story, I guess.
Yeah. I do love some of the little things that I'm hoping, because I haven't read the book, I'm hoping Andy Weir wrote into the book and it's not just only in the movie. The little moments where he says, well, according to the University of Chicago, my alma mater, that once you have, established crops and you've grown something, you've technically colonized something. So it's like, so I've colonized Mars. Take that, Neil Armstrong. And I just I love that little thing because it's very much giving you like science, like here's the qualifications for colonization. And then it's like, and I'm going to pair that with, a little bit of humor. And I think that this movie does that really well because this movie could have easily delved super, super heavy into the science of everything and left the humanity out. And I'm glad that they didn't, because you see moments like that, moments where, he's talking about the, traveling from one site to another site, and technically they can't give him permission to do that. And so technically Mars is in international waters and he's going to go take over this other vehicle. So that makes him a pirate. A space pirate. And I love that. I love the moments where you see the decision by the captain to leave him behind, and then like the regret and the burden, the guilt she's carrying with her when they're on the ship. Because it's those human moments when it could have been all nothing but science.
And disco.
And lots of disco. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I like the sciencey parts because they weren't overdone and they were just deep enough that I think you could still understand what was going on. But pushing that envelope, pushing it right to the edge of that. If it was any more in depth, I would have gotten into technobabble. But even where, he's talking about, where everyone's, thinking they know better than him about, where he should go from there with the potatoes and all that kind of stuff, even though he's the guy who, grew the potatoes in the first place. And he has the idea. I mean, I don't know. It almost feels like it could potentially be a cliche, but him getting the idea for fertilizing, the whole idea to grow the potatoes is when he's getting off the pot.
Yep.
And using their waste for all the nitrates and everything else to actually grow the potatoes. And I mean, it's. How often do you see someone actually going to the bathroom in a movie that's not, like R-rated, whatever?
Right. Or it's used for, potty humor type of scenarios.
That's kind of where I was going. But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really simple things. It's really simple ideas that while he's got this complex problem, simple things keep coming into play as well.
Like he crushes up Vicodin to use as a topping on potatoes.
Because he's ran out of
ketchup. Because think about it. Like if you had to eat potatoes for every meal.
Oh my! That was my first thought when he starts planning that huge field of potatoes. Every day.
How bad does your heart break in this movie when he has the malfunction and the outer perimeter, the airlock explodes, and all his crops are flash frozen, and everything dies.
Huge, because that was like that was plot turning triumph when those were growing. Yeah, and I mean just gone.
It's that moment where I knew it was coming up, but I was still like, no. Like I found myself wishing something else was going to happen in a movie that I've already seen. It hurts because
the second time I watched it this week, same feeling there.
Yeah,
even though I had watched it just the day before, but I don't know. The one thing I kind of took issue, and I think it's strange that this is the only thing that I really took issue with, was that scene with the tarp, like where the airlock doesn't seal.
Yeah.
And then the tarp rips, which lets in the air, which then causes the explosion. That thing ripped like it was a paper bag. I would think that the material that they're using for type would be a bit more sturdy, that even if there were a puncture in it or something, it wouldn't just immediately just rip open like you were bag of potato chips.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, the result would be the same because, you're still letting all that particular atmosphere out, and then that's going to react with your flame, and then it's still going to go up in flames, but that just, I don't know, that's the one thing that stood out for me. Other than that, and I'm a pretty critical person when I want to look for something wrong, and I couldn't see it. I don't know enough about the science to be able to disprove anything. I don't know much about maritime law. Either way, Captain Longbeard or
Captain Blondebeard.
Blondebeard. That's
Yeah. I do love the juxtaposition with some of the scenes of the people on Earth trying to help versus him up there, especially when they figure out when he has that moment where he realizes I can go get the instrument that was been up here since the late 90s and see if I can figure out how to make that work so I can communicate back with Earth. And like figuring out that and how to answer questions and whatnot, like that all stuff like I found really interesting. And then eventually they hack the rig so he can text them basically. I loved all that. I loved seeing working two sides of the problem and eventually being able to communicate back and forth. But I'm glad they didn't like jump to that too early, because then it would just feel like, where's the drama? Where's the real tension here?
Can we take a moment to talk about Donald Glover? Who I forgot entirely was even in this movie. I remembered the character, but I forgot it was Donald Glover. But the whole kind of, semi-autistic guy that's just stuck in the problem, and, he's dealing with getting permission to do all this stuff. The guy's like, you do remember I'm your boss, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah? Runs off.
It was a bit part. It was a little small part, but man, I love Donald Glover. Love him.
It was great. And I love, and I mean, he's, triggered the whole Code Elrond thing. And
yep.
I mean, there were actually quite a few parts in that movie that were played by fairly well-known actors that didn't necessarily have a big starring role in this, but I loved every single
Kristen
one.
Wiig. Kristen Wiig played the media relations lady, and like she's usually known for her comedic stuff, but she really wasn't playing a comedic role. But I thought she did a great job in that movie. I mean, seriously, everyone I thought that was in this movie really did a good job. I mean, obviously Matt Damon, Jessica Chastain, Jeff Daniels, but you get, Sean Bean, like we talked about, but you get down to Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier, is in this movie.
I was actually really fond of Mackenzie Davis's character, and I can't even remember her name.
Mindy Park.
Yeah, just like the really kind of nondescript, I'm just a science worker person, but someone had me check out a thing, and I made a phone call, and suddenly I'm in the middle of all this.
Right, or like Benedict Wong, who plays the director of JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratories.
I loved his character.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like it's one of those things where I kept thinking, I'm like, yep, this fits. He's playing this guy. It's a small role, but like it seemed very crucial. So,
and of course, Michael Pena. So
Michael Pena. Although you don't get any of his like, here's what really happened type stories,
No, but you get some banter that's definitely up his alley.
Yep. Yeah, and then you've got Chiwetel Ejiofor, who's in it, who plays Vincent Kapoor. He was the director of the mission, the Mars missions or whatever. I really, really like him in a lot of stuff he's in. So, there was just like a great cast in this. Also, the music really stuck out to me, like more the score. Because I think that the only song we get is a David Bowie song, Starman, right?
Yep.
That's the only thing. The rest of it's just score. But I have in my head of what Mars sounds like due to this score.
Huh. Interesting. Let me ask you a question.
Go.
In a realistic setting, with everything that's gone on, the time that has gone by, knowing everything they know, do you think that the decision by the crew to go back to get him would truly be unanimous?
Well, I'm trying to remember because they even say this, 2 of them were military.
That I would say probably, if not for duty, than anything else.
Right. The other 2, let's see, the other 3 people that were on the crew, the reality is, I think that they would, because with what develops and the ability that they're going to be able to get kind of restocked, it's going to add, an extra 2 years onto their trip, basically. But it's going to give them a chance to save one of their, their team members, one of the group. And I think it would be unanimous. I think that there would be a lot more discussion that would go on. Because in the movie, obviously, it was, the scene took all of but about 2 minutes. I think that there would probably be some more discussion because you'd have a realistic discussion of, well, hey, it's going to take us another almost year to get back to him at this point. Is he going to be alive in a year? Does he have the, all the ability? What happens if all of a sudden, we turn around and we're halfway there and then something happens and he's dead? Now we've still got to wait another year and a half before we get back home, knowing that, that we just wasted our time. So I think there would be more of a discussion maybe, but I think it would be unanimous.
So Alex Vogel, he was the German crew member.
Yeah.
He has wife and young children at home.
Yep.
That's the one vote I'm not as certain about. And I have nowhere near the same kind of situation, but I was in a combat unit in the military. I was overseas. I was deployed. I missed my older daughter, Katie's, the day that she was born and her first 2 birthdays for being deployed to one place or another during that time.
Okay.
That was soul tearing. Like if I had an option, like the day she was born, first birthday, second birthday, if I had a choice at that part to go home, knowing what might be at stake there, I don't know that I can make that kind of decision. And being away from my kids that long, knowing that it's going to be years before I get to see them again, that's tough. And I know it would be the weight of the decision and what's at stake if I don't, I think would probably, it would put me like 51-49 to go back and get him, but it would not be, it would not be something I could easily make in any way, shape, or form.
Not discounting what you're saying, because I agree. I think there's that aspect that maybe I wasn't thinking about. Here's the only thing I think maybe would be different from your analogy to, kind of the situation in the film, is that in the military, you're told where you're going to go. Once you enlist or you're drafted, however you get into the military, then your ability to make choices and decisions is completely out of your hands. These guys are astronauts, and I know astronauts have the ability in the program, if they don't want to for some reason, to not take a mission, and they can bump themselves back on the list, and it may bump them out of the program, but it's something that they're voluntarily saying, I want to leave the planet and go into outer space. And so I think that maybe knowing that their choice was a little more voluntary to leave.
Well, I mean, there's volunteerism in signing up for the military in the first place. And I mean, Katie was on her way when I signed up. So that decision, I don't know, somewhat similar. And I mean, I'm not committing acts of hubris here that
no.
I think that my situation is anywhere near the same, just kind of, I guess, what I can personally identify with that part of the decision-making process. I don't know that it would have been so certain they would have gone. But, anyone else in the same situation may feel very different things for very different reasons. And I mean, there are many soldiers who, that sense of duty does take over. Even having a sense of duty by the second birthday, I was already regretting that I had ever done that. But it's just, a unique situation that until you're in that, you don't know what you're going to decide, and you can't really predict what anyone else is going to decide. I found that to be an interesting problem that I feel could have been explored a little more, and it would not have been just such a unanimous, yeah, hey, gung-ho, let's go do this, without, some pushback and some hard working through of what that may mean and what that's going to do. And but it's a 2-hour movie, so
right, and that's what I was going to say.
Minutes to it.
Yeah, if you went on too long with that and you showed the moral dilemma, the conscience of crisis kind of moment where they're deciding, could slow down the tone and pace of the film. Yeah, for sure. But it's an interesting question though, Stu, that you bring up. I mean, realistically,
and plus, if he had said no, then the movie ended a totally different way.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to do the old Iron Man, right?
That may be waffly science there, but it was fun.
Probably not the most sound science in the film. However, it would have worked. But it wouldn't have worked. I don't think it would have worked that sustainable. I mean, because eventually, I don't know. I guess because you got oxygen that's being released from the tank, maybe. But it just seems like to me, like, don't you think that you'd puncture that, and it would be like when the airlock broke and all the atmosphere vented out into space? Don't you think it would be like a one quick blast and then it would be over?
Yeah, pretty much.
But it is a kind of a cool looking thing, though. I mean, visually looking, and
Well, and then again, I mean, there's absolutely no sound in space, so it wouldn't have heard the explosion and all that other fun stuff too. So there has to be some dramatic effect.
Right. It's a movie. Let's be honest. It's a movie,
and it's a Hollywoodized movie too. It's not a documentary type kind of thing.
Wait, what? This didn't really happen?
Oh crap!
Oh man!
Don't tell Brita.
Oh great! Next thing you're gonna tell me you can't grow potatoes from poop. Stu, don't.
I don't know that. You probably can. I mean, potatoes are a pretty easy to grow vegetable as long as you've got the nutrients for it, and that's what poop has aplenty.
Yeah. So the Martian, I loved this movie. I loved, the cinematography in this thing. It's just beautifully, beautifully shot.
Yes.
And the more I kept looking at this thing, going, man, this is just visually, it is stunning to behold. It's super easy on the eyes. Like, there's a lot to look at. There's a lot going on, but it's not distracting. And so I loved that. I loved the score. I loved the music. I loved the acting. 10 out of 10, man. This movie just hits and checks so many boxes for me.
10 out of 10, for sure.
Easy. So my real question is, what's going to be the next...
watch it again.
I know, me too. What's going to be the next big space movie that's going to come out that's going to be like this, right? I mean, we've had some really good ones, but then we've also had other movies. Like, I'm thinking like some of the Mars stuff that happened in the early 2000s, like Red Planet and Mission to Mars. Those came out right around the same time, like the same year, and I don't remember any of them being like that great. So, like, what's going to be the next big thing?
Those movies were about Mars. This was about the crew, and especially one specific person. I mean, really, you could take Mars out of the equation and put him, in the middle of a desert with no way out, or he's in the middle of some internment camp, or, the setting really is great ambience. And I do not mean to downplay the effect of that ambience.
Right.
But Mars was really just a character in the story, not really what it was about.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe what makes the difference. And I think that's really what the hallmark of a great space movie is like Apollo 13 wasn't about space. It was about the people that were involved in the missions.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
So, I don't know. That's going to be tough. But I mean, I don't think we could ever say with any degree of certainty that there will never be another movie like this. It's just, they are definitely few and far between.
Yeah. I think it's easy to make movies that are based in space. but I think it's hard to make movies that like have this sort of impact that makes you want to go watch them over and over and over again, unless they're big budget, Star Wars type of movies or Star Trek, something like that.
Yeah,
I watched Gravity once. I'm probably not going to watch it again.
Gravity. Remind me which one that one is.
That's the Sandra Bullock one.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, was it horrible? No. Was it great? No.
Yeah, I never even felt the compulsion to watch that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know any idea like how much money this movie made?
Oh, I was actually just looking at it a minute ago. $630 million.
That's worldwide total?
Yeah. Wow.
That's a pretty good chunk of change.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Marvel-sized drawings, but let's see. Just for the sake of argument, let's take a look at Mission to Mars.
Oh.
111 million.
Okay.
That was such a bomb movie, too. Oh.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited. I love the area that this type of movie explores. It's more about the human condition, and the funny thing is I love that this was able to be done in a science fiction parameter, because usually we see this in more biopic kind of movies, like Apollo 13 or The Right Stuff, that are about real people in real situations in a race to Mars. This movie was science fiction and still had that same element to it.
Yeah, seriously, there's so many good things going on in this film. I have a hard time trying to find things to pick apart and say that it did poorly or did bad. I'm just trying to think if there's much. I mean,
there are a couple things that I think I would have done a little differently, but even with that, I can't necessarily fault the movie for those things.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to say this. Super Friends, if you haven't seen this movie, you're crazy. It's time to change it. Go out and go see this movie. Go see The Martian. It's definitely worth the 2.5 hours of your time to watch this movie.
Man, I wish they would re-release this on IMAX.
Ooh, this would be beautiful on IMAX. Who do we have to petition to make that happen? Because we know people listen to this podcast that can make things happen.
Well, we started with my request for tweets to NASA. We show the kind of influence that our super friends have.
Yeah.
And then we can make a case with whichever studio it was to put that out.
Okay. I like it. Let's make it happen. So let it be written, so let it be done.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, Stu, so let's segue a little bit. Next week is Christmas, man.
Oh.
We're hitting into Christmas. It's going to be our Christmas episode.
I'm ready.
Me too. It's been a whole year since I've done a Christmas episode. It's about time.
Wow, why do you wait so long?
I don't know. Dramatic effect. I like to build it up a little bit.
Gotcha. We should do it in claymation.
Ooh. That would be nice. Although I don't know anything about claymation and probably don't have enough time to put that together. But I like the idea.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Which, surprisingly, I did read an article today about how long it took them to do that claymation episode of Community for Christmas. Mm-hmm. Not an easy project.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Not an easy project
which
at all.
Which is why they only did it one time.
Right, exactly. So, Super Friends, here's the deal. Since it's going to be Christmas, and of course we will be presenting a Christmas-themed podcast next week, here's my question of the week for you. And it's going to be Christmas-themed. If money was no issue, what do you want for Christmas? Not what do you need, not what are you going to read, because I know there's the thing like, they'll say like there's, you should give 3 gifts or 4 gifts, something you need, something you want, something you can wear, something you can read, stuff like that.
This is your one wish from the genie people.
Yeah, you get, listen, old Saint Nick, he's going to come down your chimney. He's going to give you one thing you want. One thing, and it doesn't matter the cost. It can be anything. What is the one thing you want? And Stu, you had a caveat. Can it not be?
It can't be peace on Earth because we already know everyone wants peace on Earth.
That's right. So you can't wish for peace on Earth. You can't want that. No wanting peace on Earth.
It would be nice to have peace on Earth, but no wanting it.
Right. No wanting it. Not in this scenario. Niet. No peace on Earth. So, Stu, here's my question then to you. Let's answer this question. What would you want for Christmas if money was no issue?
Ooh. Even though money is no issue, it would have to be reasonable to my lifestyle. Like, I mean, I would love to have an F-23 or an F-32 fighter jet, the guys that fly over us all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fly this stupid thing, so it would be no good. A 2019 mid-engine Corvette.
Wow. Okay.
That thing is a beast, and they've finally started releasing pictures of it.
Now let me ask you this question, because I want to clarify this, because this may affect some of the Super Friends answers. Does this have to be a real thing?
Oh. Well, yes. I mean, wishing for a claymation version of Santa Claus to be what comes down your...
Because if it doesn't have to be a real thing, like it could be something from a science fiction movie or something, I want the Force. I want to be able to control the Force. That's what I want for Christmas.
Okay, no, it has to be something that
we could actually get, is what you're saying. Okay.
I mean, the thing was amount of money, not midichlorians.
Okay, well... I mean, what if I want to purchase a Death Star?
We're talking gifts, not wishes.
I know. Dang it. Okay. So if I could get any gift.
There was a Kickstarter for the Death Star, though.
And?
It didn't do very well.
It didn't get funded?
It was like for 1 trillion British pounds or something like that. It ended up getting like 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, so I think if there was just like one thing I would want. Ooh, man. That is tough. That's real tough. I think...
Drum roll.
Right? I think I would want all of the original Star Wars figures and toys from like the 1977 to 83 run in mint condition, in the blister packs, and in the boxes.
That's more than one thing.
It's a collection.
I want the entire Corvette collection from 1963 onward.
Done. See? Easy. I would want something like that. Oh, yeah, no, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Have fun with it, Super Friends. Whatever. I mean, give us your... What are you wanting? What are you wishing for? If you're wishing for the Force, as long as you're not Spencer, go for it.
Ah, brutal. Brutal,
I know.
Stu. All right, Super Friends, you know how to get a hold of us. Facebook, Twitter, email, voicemail, Instagram. I mean, you can get us there. You can use the Force telepathy to get us the answers. I don't care. But
You
let
can
us
you
know.
can tag NASA with hashtag FON answers.
Right. And we'll probably have to put this question of the week out a little early, just because usually we do it the day before we record, and that'll be, like right before Christmas. So give our Super Friends a little extra time. But Super Friends, let us know. And thanks for stopping in with us and hanging out again this week. Stu, once again, always a lot of fun. My pleasure to be here with you.
Definitely, Sam as well. I love this movie, love talking about it, and I bet you I'm watching it tomorrow.
Nice. Let me know if you do.
I might watch it with Morgana, see what she thinks.
I think she'd like it. It's
she's all about space and stuff, man.
nice. Well, Super Friends, from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude to all of you out there, wherever you may be, may the Force be with you. Always.